Hello, my name is Jack, and I will be going over what 3 years of Game Jam progress looks like. Uh, these Game Jams that I'm doing are 48-hour events where you basically form a small team of game designers who all have different skills and talents and whatever, and you build a video game, all from scratch. So, in the first two of the three that I'm going to show, all I did was audio. I didn't even know how to implement it into the Unity engine or anything. I just made sounds. That little ding you heard there, something I made. I also made some of this just ambient music, kind of based on a cello and some synth pads in the background. And then I also designed those footsteps. So, pretty simple stuff for this one. Really, I just spent a lot of time helping with, ideas for the game. And then after a lot of our planning stages went out, worked a lot on music, and did a lot of sound effects. So this was meant to be a horror game, so a lot of our sound effects were really creepy and dark, and I actually ended up making a lot of monster sound effects for this game that didn't get used. I know I still have the files somewhere. I think there's like a whole slew of them up on my SoundCloud or something, but basically there's supposed to be this kraken that kind of chases you around this underwater depths as you're trying to collect relics. And it was supposed to make these like crazy kraken sounds. And the way I went about doing that was I took some like royalty-free tiger sound effects from online, pitched them down a lot, slowed them down, and then layered those with like drills and lawnmowers and other stuff that I like altered in similar ways. And it got some pretty cool effects. This was pretty early in my sound designing phase too. Or not phase, but, experience. I really didn't have much experience beforehand with sound effects. I had done music, but, never tried to implement footsteps or monster growls, and it worked out. Unfortunately, we couldn't implement those monster growls, but still had them, and they were a lot of fun to make. And so this is just a really simple, like horror chromatic string thing, followed by a piano stock sound effect that was part of FL Studio. So yeah, that was 2017's Game Jam. And here's moving on to 2018's. That last one was called Sunken, by the way. This one's called Apoc FM. It's a post-apocalyptic themed tower defense game where basically you're playing as a radio tower and you have to recruit people by sending music to other areas to try to like call them and get them to come help you in your thing. Obviously, lore is really hard to flesh out and do well during a 48-hour period, but still pretty fun and helps to understand everything. And so just because of the nature of this game, I got to compose a lot of music. I composed maybe like 6 or 7 songs during these 48 hours, and you'll hear most of them as I keep talking here about the game. But I really got to test out my composing, and it's really cool in this limited time frame to see what you can do when you're not able to be a perfectionist. I really had to just kind of let go of, wanting everything to be perfect, wanting to do some things that I just didn't have time for, and so I just had to trust my instinct and just kind of go with things. And it's a really nice exercise, and if you ever find yourself with writer's block or feel like you're creating the same thing over and over again, I really suggest putting some time constraints on yourself. It's a really good mental exercise. Also did the sound effects. Those weasels I made with a squeaky toy that I had in my dorm room at the time. Also recorded some vocals myself. There's a random chance every time you switch the song station from the radio tower that a voice line will play, basically. Really simple game. There's not much feedback on what's happening on screen, but basically the tower automatically shoots at the little weasels which are trying to attack you, and you can also click on the houses and send out soldiers once you get enough people. Very confusing. Even when I came back and revisited it after a year, I had no idea what I was doing and had to remember how everything worked. But still a lot of fun, and I think of all three, this one kind of turned out the most actual game-like. A lot of Game Jam games just turn out to be concepts, and that's okay, but you know, I'm still proud of this one. Really like how it turned out, and I really like some of the songs that happened. The last song that we just heard was the forest theme. Really liked that one. And I just kind of let myself be really heavily influenced by a song I liked at the time, and it worked out. I feel like it ended up being my favorite song on the whole OST, if you will. Also, a lot of other soundtrack sound effects assets that I ended up not using for this game, but still nice to have. Oh, there was my voice right there. And so this was this past year's, 2019's. I had the least amount of musical influence over this one as in previous years, because we had another person who was a sound designer and musician in our group. So for this one, I actually ended up helping with coding, which I had been coding for about a month at that point, so that's why this one ended up pretty rough. But still, even with our small team, I feel like we were able to at least make a concept for an RPG about a guy who thinks that objects in the real world are enemies from his previous RPG life. It's basically like a what happens after the hero comes back from an adventure thing. And I did make this song, this battle theme, which I am proud of, between coding and trying to figure out bug fixes. But basically, that's what 3 years of game jams look like. I can tell that I progressed a lot in terms of production quality and quickness in working. You know, I was able to make this song just in between, you know, coding sessions, so really came out really quickly, and I'm proud of what I done. I would highly recommend game jams for any composers or programmers out there. It's a lot of fun, you learn a lot, and you meet people, great for networking, so yeah, I'm Jack, hope you enjoyed.